Ich habe ein gutes. Hat nichts mit Mania zu tun, Chat, aber es geht 25 Minuten. Wäre ein bisschen so für haha hihi, glaube ich. Ich hätte anzubieten 25 Minuten auf WWE Wrestlers Breaking Character. Wenn ich weiß, was das heißt, ist, dass Wrestler innerhalb der Show aus ihrem Charakter so rausgekommen sind, weil die sich nicht zusammenreißen konnten, weil sie lachen mussten, weil sie irgendeine Scheiße gemacht haben. Hey Chat, und natürlich startet das Video mit Baron Corbin, oder? Ist doch klar, Chat, hey. Es ist doch klar, dass mit Baron Corbin gestartet wird. Ey, ja, dann würde ich sagen, gehen wir mal rein hier. 25 Minuten volle Möhre auf WWE Wrestlers Breaking Character. Ja, klar.
Unlike movie actors, WWE wrestlers have one
Besser?
take to get everything right, which can cause them to break character. Sometimes it's hilarious, and other times it's sad. LA Knight is this generation's version of The Rock. He's arguably the wittiest and funniest person currently in WWE. He's so good that he can get other wrestlers to break.
The only problem is when I look at you, I just get the feeling you're not allowed within 50 yards of a school, you creep.
Even when WWE isn't on the air, wrestlers can get caught on camera breaking character. During a commercial break, Nikki Cross saw a young fan waving at her and was delighted. Unfortunately, Bayley caught Nikki breaking character and got her to snap back before Raw was back on the air. At Crown Jewel 2023, Kairi Sane returned to WWE and joined Bayley's group, Damage Control. Less than a week later, Kairi competed in her first match back.
Ach, die hat jemand abgeklatscht, glaube ich, beim Rausgehen. Den Clip kenne ich auch, ja.
And went to take a picture with a fan. Bayley quickly shut the photo shoot down and got Kairi Sane back into character. Warning, this next moment will likely make you teary-eyed. Shortly after winning the 2023 Royal Rumble, Cody Rhodes made it clear he would challenge the undisputed WWE Universal Heavyweight Champion Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. On Raw, Cody came face-to-face with Roman's wise man, Paul Heyman. Rhodes started talking about his late father, Dusty Rhodes, someone Paul Heyman had a history with. Cody shared that in 2000, his family was broke and his father was struggling to make ends meet. During this time, Paul Heyman reached out to Dusty Rhodes about appearing in his company, ECW. Despite being notorious for not paying talent, Paul Heyman made sure Dusty was paid well, and Dusty Rhodes about appearing in his company, ECW. Despite being...
Bruder, Heyman, Junge. Was ist das denn hier? Ist das Tess? Jima, erkennt man ja, ist das Tess? Wilder Tisch, Alter. Wilder Tisch. Ich sag mal, der Tisch ist so, naja, ne? Schlechten Gag abhaken. Gut. Heyman einfach Steinis Side-Profil, gleicher Bart. Ist so, ne? Gleicher Bart.
Notorious for not paying talent, Paul Heyman made sure Dusty was paid well, and Cody thanked Heyman for that. The story was so emotional that Paul Heyman broke character and started crying. Wrestling might be predetermined, but those tears were real. This next moment was supposed to be serious, but the fans had other plans.
Ja,
Nearly 7 years after they faced off at SummerSlam for the Universal Championship, Finn Balor called out Seth Rollins. It was a serious moment for Finn, but the fans were more interested in singing.
Ah, Chat, die Crowd wieder, ne? Erinnert mich an die Jey Uso Promo von letzter Woche. Da ging es auch nur um Yeeten, obwohl Jay da mal was Stabiles machen wollte, ne? Schade.
It went on for so long that Rollins couldn't hold it any longer and broke character by laughing.
Ja, hab ich auch gesehen, Medi.
Hey, this isn't funny. This is serious. This is serious.
The Usos are always having trouble staying in character.
Das war das Beste.
And 2023
das war
was no
entertaining
different. On Raw, Jimmy and Jay were fighting Otis
Sammy
and
and Bloodline war
early in the match,
super.
Otis and Jay were locking up when Otis began to jiggle. Jay could not keep it together and started laughing, which made it look like he was enjoying it. Even the leader of the Bloodline, Roman Reigns, can't keep it together. In July 2023, Roman and Jey Uso met in the ring to sign a contract for their match at SummerSlam. The two agreed to enter Tribal Combat, and while Jay was explaining what was legal in the match, he managed to get Roman to break character.
Hey, I'll grab that lady's left slipper over there and slap you across the head, too, Woods.
As you've seen, Bayley is usually the one that keeps wrestlers in
What
character.
up?
However, this moment was so cute that even the leader of Damage Control couldn't help but break character. At a non-televised WWE event, Bayley rolled out of the ring
den kenn ich auch,
where a
den
little girl got her to break character. Okay, get the tissues out. It's time for another emotional moment.
Aber Bloodline-Zeit ist als auch Arschkarte gehabt eigentlich, ne? Wenn du mal gesehen hast, die mussten ja wirklich straight seriös da rauskommen. Und du weißt ja, was für Knallfrische da dann drin waren. Und dann mit Sammy noch. Ich glaube, egal ob du was absolut Ernstes gesagt hast, da war dann der Effekt bei denen. Du weißt, du bist gerade, Schule hat angefangen, Lehrer möchte nicht, dass gesprochen wird. Und du guckst dich nur an. Es ist nix witzig, aber du musst lachen. Ich glaube, das war hinten raus bei Sammy Bloodline so. Da hat keiner was Witziges gesagt, aber du wusstest, ich darf hier nicht lachen. Und je mehr du darüber nachgedacht hast, der Gedanke daran wird dann witzig. Weil Bloodline hinten raus mit Sammy war ja nur noch, egal ob Solo, Backstage-Segmente, alles. Ja, mit dem Doing the Little Dance und was weiß ich nicht, was, Usi. Ja, die Blicke immer und alles. Selbst Roman haben sie ja rausgekriegt. Bei Solo Backstage, wo er so Dings redet und dann lacht und dann den hier so.
In 2020, Edge did what no one thought he could, and that was return to WB. 3 years after that, the Radar superstar was ready to leave. In August 2023, Edge competed in his final WB match in front of his hometown crowd in Toronto. Edge's last opponent was Sheamus, the same man who had helped him make his return. The Ultimate Opportunist was victorious, and because of the gravity of the situation, Sheamus and Edge both decided to break character and embrace. The Radar superstar then got real and spoke to the fans as Adam Copeland.
Everything I said last week in Calgary is true. He is the reason that I was able to get back in here. That's no lie. That's no character. That's no writing. Steven is the reason that I was able to get back in here.
Even before he joined the Judgment Day, Drew
Steven?
McIntyre was a
Sheamus
pretty
has
serious
Steven?
guy. However, if you saw Drew during a commercial break, then you know that's not true. When WWE was on the air though, Drew McIntyre always kept it straight. Except for this moment. One of the more minor storylines of 2023 was that of Matt Riddle and Drew McIntyre. After McIntyre saved Matt Riddle from a post-match beatdown by Gunther, the original bro started teaming with the Scottish Warrior. Riddle was clearly more into the idea than Drew, and even proposed matching ring gear. This caused Drew to accidentally break character.
Okay, so I think I know what you're saying. Let's get matching kills. No, Drew. Before you leave.
I think Solo Sikoa would have actually gotten into trouble if he didn't.
No, Drew. Before you leave.
I think Solo Sikoa would have actually gotten into trouble if he didn't break character here. During a non-televised WWE show, Solo was taking on Sheamus. Sikoa won, but then did something unexpected.
LOL,
after the match. The
gewonnen?
fourth generation wrestler left the ring and hugged one of the fans in the crowd. As it turns out, the fan was actually Solo Sikoa's mother. Yeah, breaking character for the woman who birthed you was definitely the right thing to do. I told you at the beginning that wrestlers do not get a second take, but I bet Becky Lynch really wishes she could have. In September 2023, Becky Lynch did something unexpected and won the NXT Women's Championship. Less than a week later, Lynch issued an open challenge for the title. However, Becky ended up
Becky Lynch bei Mania. TV gewinnt gegen Charlotte, Becky Lynch kommt raus. Ihr habt das zuerst gehört. TV, you can't beat me. One more time.
And won the NXT Women's Championship. Less than a week later, Lynch issued an open challenge for the title. However, Becky ended up forgetting her lines and
Becky ist doch bei
character.
Raw. Becky ist gerade überall, aber nicht bei Raw. Die ist nämlich nirgendwo zu Hause und kriegt's nicht mal geschissen, die Redemption zu unterschreiben. Ich hab eine Wall of Wonder liegen. So Mädchen, seh bloß zu.
And I can't think of a better time than...
Charlotte Flair actually apologized to help cover up her character-breaking moment. On the final SmackDown 2022, Charlotte Flair returned as a face, a good guy, and defeated Ronda Rousey, new SmackDown Women's Champion. The next week, Flair was challenged by Sonya Deville, and the champ accepted. Charlotte won, but for a split second, the Queen forgot she was a good guy and yanked the championship from the referee. Flair immediately realized that's not what a face does and said a quick thank you to the ref. On the May 29th 2023 episode of Raw, Seth Rollins and AJ Styles teamed up to take on Judgment Day's Finn Balor and Damian Priest. Of course, Rhea Ripley and Dominic Mysterio were ringside for the match. Early on, Seth Rollins slid to the outside and put his arm around Rhea. While Dom should have been furious that Seth was putting his hand on Mommy, he was actually trying to hold back laughter. To be fair, it looked like Rhea Ripley was struggling not to crack too. Sometimes,
Ja, Rollins, ne? Ich sag mal, soll mal was alleine einfallen lassen. Nicht immer nur von Shawn Michaels klauen und so, ne? Wäre mal ganz angebracht.
Should have been furious that Seth was putting his hand on Mommy, he was actually trying to hold back laughter. To be fair, it looked like Rhea Ripley was struggling not to crack too. Sometimes, a wrestler becomes so overcome with emotion that they can't help but break character. This is exactly what happened at WrestleMania 39. During the event's first night, Charlotte Flair defended her SmackDown Women's Championship against Rhea Ripley. Mommy won the match.
Banger-Match. Absolutes Brettdingen. Vom Tempo, von den Spots her, vom Storyteller, da war alles Brett. Wirklich. Bei Dave nur 2,5, zu wenig brennende Stühle. Ja, zu wenig Osprey-Rufe, glaube ich.
And while she stayed in character, her opponent could not. Rather than looking sad or upset, Flair was smiling and laughing, happy about the performance she and Rhea gave the
Weil die
fans
wusste, dass die wieder verletzt ist. Ja, ich bin wieder verletzt,
At a
scheiße, muss raus.
non-televised WWE event in Mexico City, Asuka, Shotzi, and Charlotte Flair fought in a triple threat match. Asuka ended up winning the match, but that wasn't what was shocking. After the Empress had left, Charlotte broke character and hugged her opponent, Shotzi. The two women then celebrated with the crowd and walked away with a thunderous applause. This next incident is respect shown in the most purest form.
Und ihr tut so, als wenn ihr nichts gewusst habt, Junge. Hier war doch klar. Der Long Gamer Rock wieder, Chat. Da hättest du es wissen müssen. Da war das schon Dings. Da hat er das dem schon gesagt, ey, wenn du wiederkommst, wir beide zusammen. Und hat der John gesagt, ey, Rock, danke. I love you.
The most purest form. One of the biggest WWE feuds of 2023 was Brock Lesnar vs. Cody Rhodes. After each man had gotten one victory over the other, the two faced off for a third and final time at SummerSlam. The Beast and the American Nightmare had a physical match, but in the end...
Stimmt, hier weiß ich, der Handshake nach dem Match war nicht geplant und Lesnar hat's aus Prinzip aber selber durchgezogen.
Cody came out on top. After the match was over,
das war die Umarmung, war nicht Dings. Das sollte nicht passieren.
Surprised by this, and that's because it wasn't part of the script. Presumably, Brock was meant to walk away quietly, but instead, he decided to break character and shows respect to the American Nightmare. At the 2014 Battleground pay-per-view, John Cena defended the World Heavyweight Championship against Kane, Randy Orton, and Roman Reigns. This is only Roman's second time competing for the WWE World title. Ironically though, it was the multi-time...
Ich kriege den ersten Wrestling-Move von Roman Reigns hier präsentiert. Und es ist natürlich die Spear durch die Barrikaden. Du willst mich doch, also...
time competing for the WWE World title. Ironically though, it was the multi-time champion that broke character. At one point, Reigns nailed John Cena with his finisher, the Spear. However, John Cena didn't sell it at all, and instead called for Kane to break up the pinfall. Due to the camera position, it was clear as day, and it simply...
Hey, Mama unterbrech mal. Kane, bitte hilf mir. Kane, komm zurück.
...at a cage and forced to defend his title. Once the Scottish Warriors pod opened, Drew went on a rampage. He beat down Randy Orton and was doing the same to Jeff Hardy. McIntyre looked to throw the charismatic Enigma into one of the pods, but unfortunately, the cameraman was in the way.
He's in danger.
Drew threw Jeff Hardy anyways, and the cameraman accidentally got hit too. Drew McIntyre was too upset to care, and all he said was,
Stick, hold your move.
Not long
Aber, ey, ich sag dir ganz ehrlich, das fällt ja nicht mal auf. So, das kannst du ja noch machen, so in einem Match, weißt du? Ist halt dumm aber irgendwie hat das reingepasst. So, jetzt fand ich in die Situation, oder? Wirkt ja nur noch healiger eigentlich. Aber das bei Cena gerade, du Bruder, ich meine, was soll er machen, wenn die nicht aufstehen? Der eine versteht sowieso nix.
McIntyre was too upset to care, and all he said was,
Stick, hold your move.
Not long after winning the WWE Championship in 1999, Big Show found himself in a match
Attack
against
now.
Triple H on Raw. The Game and the Giant were going through the motions, and it seemed like a normal WWE match. Then, the camera caught Triple H breaking character.
Do that! Side slam!
Now, this isn't something only Triple H has done. The term for what the Game did is called calling a spot, where a wrestler will tell their opponent what move to do next. However, what makes this moment noticeable is not only did the camera pick up what Triple H was saying, but he also called Big Show by his real name, Paul White. Survivor Series 2016 was a very bad night for Shane McMahon. Shane was a member of Team SmackDown and competed in a 5-on-5 elimination tag team match. Things got off to a rough start when Chris Jericho gave Shane McMahon a real kick to the face. Unfortunately for Shane O'Mac, that that wasn't the only move that went wrong. Later in the match, Shane went to hit the coast to coast, but got caught in midair by Roman Reigns.
Der war
the
so
spot
böse,
looked
ne?
really cool, but Shane landed pretty hard, and afterward, McMahon didn't seem to be okay. What made this even worse is that Shane McMahon's kids were sitting in the front row watching all this. Randy Orton, who was also in the match, decided to break character to let Shane's children know that their dad was gonna be okay. While Shane McMahon did suffer concussion, he was alright, and was back to work soon after. In late 2018, Mustafa Ali was receiving a big push when he was moved to SmackDown and
Der kommt da einfach raus wie so ein Basuli-Tannebaum, Alter. Was war eigentlich das Gimmick hier? Mustafa Ali, Gimmick einfach Streaming-Hintergrund, ne, Chat? Das ist sein Gimmick in der WWE, ja. Ich bin Streaming-Hintergrund.
Receiving a big push when he was moved to SmackDown and began feuding with the WWE Champion, Daniel Bryan. The two faced off in a tag team match, which saw Bryan team with Andrade, while Ali teamed with AJ Styles. To close out the match, Mustafa Ali hit his finisher, the 054, on Bryan. However, there was a mistake, and Ali's knee crashed into Daniel Bryan's face. Immediately, Ali broke character to tell Daniel Bryan he was sorry. The match came to an end, and while he had his hand raised, Mustafa Ali felt terrible. Luckily, Ali's knee only hit Bryan's chin.
Guck mal, merkst du richtig, wie er eigentlich direkt zu Bryan will.
And Ali's knee crashed into Daniel Bryan's face. Immediately, Ali broke character to tell Daniel Bryan he was sorry. The match came to an end, and while he had his hand raised,
du siehst richtig, wie er hin will.
Felt terrible. Luckily, Ali's knee only hit Bryan's chin, and Daniel was just fine. One moment you definitely need to see is what happened on Raw in 2014. During the Authority's reign of terror, John Cena was put in a 3-on-1 handicap match against Seth Rollins, Kane, and Randy Orton. Despite the numbers being in their favor, Randy's team ended up getting themselves disqualified. Suddenly, Dean Ambrose appeared, pushing a hot dog cart towards the ring. This led to a chaotic and messy fight, but what's really funny is what Randy Orton did. While on the floor, the Viper grabbed one of the hot dog buns and started eating it. It wasn't part of the story or used to play up his character or anything. I guess Randy Orton just didn't want perfectly good food to go to waste. Weeks before
War einfach so Dingschat, so Plastikessen wie Möbelgeschäft. Da habe ich früher als kleines Kind auch immer gedacht, boah, hier steht Obst auf dem Tisch, da kann ich mitnehmen. Habe ich eventuell als kleines Kind auch tatsächlich mal in so einen Plastikapfel reingebissen. Der war nicht so lecker.
Day of Clash at WrestleMania 30, Randy Orton and Daniel Bryan fought in a no disqualification match on Raw. Apparently, one fan sitting in the front row didn't know the match was no DQ and shouted Viper's response was priceless.
It's no DQ! Bring them down!
While Randy Orton was part of Evolution, he, Batista, and Ric Flair found themselves in a 3-on-2 handicap match against Rob Van Dam and Chris Jericho. Despite the disadvantage, Jericho managed to lock Batista in the walls of Jericho. Randy tried to make the save, but lost his grip and botched the RKO. Luckily, a second attempt did the trick, but it was still pretty funny seeing Orton mess up his own finisher like that. The 2009 Royal Rumble was a big moment for Randy Orton, due to the fact that he won the entire thing. Unfortunately, the big celebration had one big mess up. As is tradition, Randy went to point at the WrestleMania sign and for a bunch of pyro to go off. Randy waited, but there was no pyro. Finally, he had to put his hand down and try pointing again, but still nothing. The Viper legitimately got annoyed that the pyro wasn't going off, but thankfully, after he spun the rope, the pyro guy woke up and set off the fireworks. The incident was so bad that WWE edited it out of all future versions of the 2009 Royal Rumble. During his reign as World Heavyweight Champion, Randy Orton found himself in a no disqualification match against Sheamus. The #1 contender for the title, Christian, interfered and attacked the Apex Predator, causing Orton to lose. Finally, he had to put his hand down.
Achte mal, Randy macht jetzt den so getreu nach dem Motto, hau mich hier noch.
The Viper legitimately got annoyed that the pyro wasn't going off, but thankfully, Royal Rumble. During his reign as World Heavyweight Champion, Randy Orton found himself in a no disqualification match against Sheamus. The #1 contender for the title, Christian, interfered and attacked the Apex Predator, causing Orton to lose. Randy was furious, and a few days later, he appeared on Raw to give his response. Well, he tried to give a response. Randy Orton's microphone died on live TV. It made the moment less serious, but way more funny.
Live TV is awesome.
A chaotic ending to Raw in 2014 saw Randy Orton get an attitude adjustment from John Cena. Orton rolled out of the ring and sold John Cena's finisher. Or at least he did until Raw went off the air. Video from a fan caught Randy Orton asking a WWE production member if they were still on TV. As soon as Orton knew the cameras weren't rolling, he got up and pretty much stopped selling the attitude adjustment. Randy worked his shift and clocked out as soon as it was over. Shortly after Seth Rollins won the WWE Championship at WrestleMania 31, both Roman Reigns and Randy Orton had their eye on the Architect. The three men confronted each other on Raw, and while Roman Reigns was talking, Orton did this.
With all due respect, Randy, you had your shot, man.
It looked like Randy Orton was blowing a kiss to Roman Reigns. That's kind of weird. Well, the Viper thought the cameras weren't on him, so he decided to blow a kiss to his wife, who was sitting in the front row. On SmackDown,
Perfekt!
the three
Bro,
men
aber wie
confronted
Dings?
each other on Raw, and while Roman Reigns was talking, Orton did this.
With all due respect, Randy, you had your shot, man.
It looked like Randy Orton was blowing a kiss to Roman Reigns.
Aber Bro, Roman sieht doch irgendwie komplett anders aus jetzt. Ja, älter geworden, aber irgendwie vom Gesicht her. Ja, der hat ja seine Kauleisten da machen lassen. Aber macht das so viel aus? Weil es wirkt mehr. Nase wirkt anders, Augen, alles wirkt anders. Nicht mal die Augen, aber die ganze Partie irgendwie wirkt anders. Die Nase hat der doch auch machen lassen. Erzähl mir doch, was du willst. Der hat doch hier einen Höcker drauf und da nicht mehr. Nase richten, Zähne. Aber bei Zähne ist krass, ne, was du für einen anderen... Weil der Kiefer wirkt komplett anders auch bei ihm. Weißt du, was ich hier sehe? Was ich rechts sehe? Shiloh Hill. Du siehst, wo der herkommt, ey. Wild.
That's kind of weird. Well, the Viper thought the cameras weren't on him, so he decided to blow a kiss to his wife, who was sitting in the front
Jennifer
row.
Lawrence, genau.
On SmackDown in 2011, the Viper found himself in a street fight with Kane. The
Der ist
battle
wahrscheinlich auch mit
eventually
dem
spilled
verwandt,
out
wird mich
to
nicht
the
wundern.
announcer's table. Randy fought out of Kane's hold, but his leg accidentally fell through a hole, causing him and the table to come crashing down. That was funny, but what was hilarious was Randy Orton's reaction afterward. Randy didn't show it, because he kept fighting as if the entire thing never happened. At WrestleMania 29, Randy Orton was in a tag team match with Big Show and Sheamus. They lost the match, and at the end of it, Big Show attacked both the Viper and the Celtic War.
Ich wollte gerade sagen, lass mich raten, in dem Match ist Big Show wieder geturnt. Ich wollte es noch... Warum habe ich es nicht ausgesprochen? Es war doch klar.
The next night, Orton and Sheamus were eager to get their hands on the world's largest athlete. Both men demanded a match, leading to a confrontation in the ring. Unfortunately, Randy Orton forgot what he was supposed to say.
While you're out here pleading your case and practically begging for support.
Randy ended up having to ask Sheamus
Auf
what
Sky
he was supposed
Sport
to say
lief doch
next.
noch.
It was so obvious that Orton forgot his line that WWE erased the moment from history.
Ich glaube, in dem Match ist ja auch viermal geturnt, Big Show.
While you're out here pleading your case and practically begging for support, Big Show's mine tonight.
This one is just disgusting. At No Way Out
Triple
2003,
H sah immer aus
Triple
wie ein
H
Säufer,
defended his
Alter, nach
World
den
Heavyweight
Matches.
Championship against Scott Steiner. Randy Orton, along with Ric Flair and Batista, interfered to help the game. Their interference did pay off, as the Cerebral Assassin was able to retain the gold. Now, watch what Randy Orton does as the group is leaving.
I call them evolution. But whatever, whether they're evil or not, they're getting the job done, aren't they?
Ew! Randy sneezes and then rubs his hand on Triple H. I guess we
Ist
can
mir
call
gar
him
nicht
the Viper
aufgefallen.
now. With Christmas only a few days away, Santino Marella decided to be a Grinch and reveal the truth about Santa Claus. Before he could, John Cena walked in and cut him off. Despite how seriously he took the situation, even Cena cracked up.
You have a big mouth, John Cena, and there's nothing I would like more for Christmas than a chance to shut it.
After becoming WWE Champion, Stone Cold Steve Austin was embroiled.
Beth Phoenix sah 1:1 aus wie Xena mit blonden Haaren, ne? Und Xena war, ja, habe ich gerne geguckt, die Serie, sag ich mal. John Cena.
In a feud with Vince McMahon and Dude Love. To keep an eye on his enemy, Stone Cold decided to watch one of Dude Love's matches ringside as a guest commentator. The Texas Rattlesnake wasn't gonna just sit and watch, however, and ended up getting in the ring. Stone Cold threw some beer at Dude Love, which seemed to form some kind of an alliance.
Das ist nicht Dude Love, das ist Cactus Jack, aber gut.
Dude Love, aka Mick Foley, ended up leaving Steve Austin in the ring and joined Vince McMahon and his dudettes on stage for some dancing. McMahon went all out, and the sight of seeing his boss dancing made Stone Cold smile.
Oh, good grief. Who's he think he is, Dick Clark?
Prior to joining WWE, Lance Storm's catchphrase was,
LOL.
If I can be serious for a minute.
This attitude carried over to WWE, but it was Stone Cold
Wilde
Steve
Frisur,
Austin
einfach mit
who wasn't
Lineal.
having it. The Texas Rattlesnake
Wir
would show
wollen
up boring
Vince
during
Era.
Lance Storm's matches and even pretended to fall asleep. Goldust decided to help
Ja,
out
beste.
and try to
Goldust war
improve
Killer.
Lance's charisma and make him more interesting. This led to a backstage
Goldust
segment
war so
where Lance
gut.
Storm dressed up as Goldust. The real bizarre one was being his usual self, and Goldust actually did it so well that Lance Storm couldn't help but laugh.
We've got kielbasas and we've got sausage and midgets all waiting in.
Most of the time, when Brock Lesnar has broken character on TV, Lesnar has done it himself. Though there's one time that Brock had no choice but to go off script. In January 2020, Brock was getting ready for the Royal Rumble. While Paul Heyman was hyping up the Beast, R-Truth came out and interrupted. Truth started talking and hit fans with a joke that was so funny,
Das war
even
auch gut.
Lesnar couldn't help but laugh.
You may be a big man, but I know you will go flying over that top rope, Paul Heyman.
Brock could not control his laughter and broke character on live TV in one of the funniest moments of his career.
That's what's up.
Brock Lesnar might be a WWE wrestler, but if you make him angry, he's more than willing to go MMA on your ass. Roman Reigns learned this the hard way. The Beast and the Roman Empire faced off for the first time at WrestleMania 31. The match did not start off on the right foot, as Brock got a cut on his face. Things got worse when Roman accidentally hit Lesnar with some knees that actually connected.
Junge, Alter,
Brock
voll
got upset,
durchgezogen.
so he repaid Reigns with a stiff clothesline that knocked Roman out of the ring.
hab ich schon wieder völlig
Lesnar
vergessen,
wasn't
ne?
finished yet though, as he also gave Roman a hard slap. At the 2016
Bei
Royal
Strowman
Rumble,
weiß ich auch,
Braun
ja.
Strowman was destroying
Aber
the
bei Roman hab ich
competition with his
tatsächlich
Wyatt family brothers.
verdrängt.
When Brock Lesnar came out, Brock mowed down everyone, but Strowman didn't budge. This caused Lesnar to hit Braun for real in order to knock him down. It's unknown why Strowman wouldn't go down for Lesnar, but it's believed that
Ja,
the
die beiden
producers
konnten
told
nicht so
Braun
miteinander,
not
ne?
to look weak. Clearly Brock didn't get that message, or just chose to ignore it. The Beast and the Monster Among Men would once again have issues with each other at the
Ja, da war das,
2018
glaub ich.
Royal Rumble. The two were competing in a triple threat match when Braun got
Ja.
sloppy and accidentally kneed Brock in the head.
Junge,
Lesnar
Alter.
quickly broke character and gave Strowman 2 real punches. The happy ending to this story is that Braun Strowman said the two made up and were cool with each other.
Ja,
The
gut.
question in this next clip is, why would you hit Brock Lesnar that hard? On SmackDown 2003,
ist das für eine
Lesnar was
Frisur,
scared by
Alter?
Hardy. Hardy swung too hard though, and the back of Brock's head was busted open. Lesnar quickly
Holy
turned
shit.
into UFC Brock and gave Hardy a hard clothesline as payback shortly after the accident. On Raw, Alicia Fox bumped into Nia Jax. Alicia had
Ja,
a habit
oh
of
nein,
acting
ich dachte, wo sie
crazy,
ausrutscht.
and that's what happened with Nia. But something didn't go according to plan.
Listen, you don't want to get out of my face! Huh? What are you gonna do? Oh! Actually, I don't care! Oh!
This was the weirdest way.
Okay, okay.
On Raw, Alicia Fox bumped into Nia Jax. Alicia
Wie sie
had a
direkt
habit
so
of acting
Entschuldigung
crazy,
sagen will.
and that's what happened.
You don't want to get out of my face!
Habe ich nicht zugehört.
Huh? What are you gonna do? Oh! I don't care! Oh!
This was the weirdest way someone broke character
Attack
ever in
now!
WWE. On NXT, Goldust and Oksana were about to get married.
What,
Of course,
Smorgon?
it was a storyline, but one of the commentators randomly broke the illusion and admitted the wedding was part of the show.
I thought Cody and Goldust hated each other.
You know this isn't a real wedding, right?
Chat, so ein Banger-Song. Oh, so atmosphärisch, so gut. Ich wäre aber für einen Goldust Run in der WWE.
On the final Raw of 2015,
Goldust war geil,
everyone
ja.
started coming out from the back.
Also
to talk
Medi, ich
about-
kann dir nur empfehlen, guck dir das an mit Booker T zusammen. Das ist absolutes Comedy-Gold. Und damals so, Ende der 90er war es, glaube ich, die Fehde gegen Razor, die war auch Killer. Weil er war immer so, er hat so dieses Feminine mehr ausgespielt, weil er wusste, bei Razor ist der Macho, er kriegt ihn damit so, weißt du? Er hat ihm so Bilder geschickt, wie er sich so ein Herz tätowiert hat mit Razor. Und solche Scherze, aber mit Booker T ist Killer.
16 would be their year. Big Show is one of them, but
Ryback.
rather than use words, the Giant decided to let his fists do the talking. R-Truth pulled a 1000 IQ move and knocked himself out. However, it worked out too well, and he actually caused Big Show to crack a smile and break character. We all remember the infamous curtain call
Hey,
incident
the
where Triple H,
click, Junge.
Shawn Michaels, Kevin Nash, and Scott Hall broke character and hugged each other after Michaels and Nash had just fought in a steel cage match. Luckily for WWE, that incident didn't happen on live live TV, but this other incident did. At NXT TakeOver Brooklyn in 2015, Sasha Banks defended the Women's Championship against Bayley. Going into the match, the two women were bitter rivals.
Da ist Wrestling für mich gestorben, bin ich
even
dabei.
better. After the physical fight, Bayley came out on top. And
Jetzt habe ich Bret Hart wieder in der Vince-Doku vor mir. Es war der Tag, an dem ist Wrestling für mich gestorben. Er hat da Riesendrama draus gemacht. Ja, ab dem Tag ist Wrestling für mich gestorben. Danach kam die Bret Hart-Ära.
And finally won the gold. Charlotte Flair and Becky Lynch ran to congratulate her, which was keeping in character. However, Sasha Banks broke character and embraced her enemy with a hug. The moment would not be addressed after the event. Wrestlers also break character for sometimes very serious reasons. In 2007, Monday Night Raw ended with Vince McMahon stepping.
Das war damals krass. Chat, ich fand das übelst krass. Heute sagt man wahrscheinlich, ist zu viel oder zu, nicht kitschig, aber ich finde kein Wort dafür. Aber damals war das krass. Da habe ich nicht so weit gedacht. Die haben ja wirklich damit gespielt, dass er verstorben ist. Aber damals hat dich das nicht interessiert. Du dachtest dir, wow, krass, ist der jetzt wirklich verstorben so? Das könntest du heute nie mehr bringen. Aber damals, sage ich euch ganz ehrlich, mich hat das nicht interessiert. Ich dachte mir, ey, da ist eine Story, das ist ja komplett krank, Alter. Aber das ist das Heavy, ne? Wie sich so die Zeit geändert hat. Heute, das könntest du ja nie mehr bringen. Das ist komplett absurd. Aber damals dachte ich mir, boah, krank, Alter. War da nicht auch eine Sequenz, wo Austin so eine Wrecking Ball auf so ein Ding draufgeschmissen hat? Oder war das in dem Spiel? Weil ich weiß, in dem Game war das auch. Damals bei SmackDown, bei dem ersten, glaube ich, in der Story, die du gespielt hast. Lange her, ne?
Determine who killed the owner of WWE. However, that's not what happened. In real life, WWE wrestler Chris Benoit killed his wife, son, and himself. Hours before Raw was set to go on the air, WWE learned of this information, and Vince McMahon broke character to address the tragedy that had happened.
Tonight's storyline was to have been the alleged demise of my character, Mr. McMahon. However, in reality, WWE superstar Chris Benoit, his wife Nancy, and their son Daniel are dead.
May 23rd, 1999 is one of the darkest days in WWE. The company was broadcasting a pay-per-view event called Over the Edge. During the show, though, a wrestler would die. Owen Hart, who was playing a character called the Blue Blazer, was supposed to
Bro, Alter, ey. Das ganze Video war super lustig. Jetzt hör doch nicht mit genau den beiden Sachen auf, Alter. Bro, ehrlich. Och nö, ey, wirklich nicht.
In the arena and be lowered into the ring. However, the harness snapped and Owen plummeted to his death. The accident wasn't shown on TV. However, commentator Jim Ross was forced to explain what happened to the viewers and break character as well.
Ich hab geguckt, es ist hier vorbei direkt.
Being attended to by the EMTs. This is not
das ist auch in der Vince-Doku, glaube ich, gewesen, ne? Die haben da, das Blut lag noch im Ring und die Wrestler sind rausgegangen und also super, super strange Situation gewesen.
Entertainment here tonight. This is as real can be here.
In a controversial decision, the show continued and led to Jeff Jarrett also
Jeff
breaking
war das,
character.
der Backstage.
Deborah, shut up. Let's talk about business. First off, Owen Hart, I'm praying for you, buddy.
On an old-school episode of Raw, CM Punk fought Roman Reigns in the main event. Of course, Roman had Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins with him, but Punk...
Also, Bruder, das hättest du rauslassen können, ne? Bin ich ehrlich. Das hättest du rauslassen können. Die beiden Sachen jetzt. Wenn jetzt hier wieder AI kommt, also es ist komplett fehlplatziert in dem Video hier.
Came prepared with the New Age Outlaws. After the match, the Shield tried to deal some more damage, but were stopped by the return of Jake the Snake. With some help from the Outlaws, Punk was able to knock out Dean Ambrose, and the Lunatic Fringe
got the Snake treatment. Das ist aber gar nicht mehr Damien, da ist Damien.
Snake on top of them, but not Ambrose. Dean could not contain his excitement and broke a smile.
Ist maximal im Land der Träume, ne? Ich wollte gerade was Falsches sagen, Alter. Zum Glück, ich wollte gerade was Falsches sagen, Chat. Hä? Geiles Video, aber den letzten Part hätte es nicht gebraucht. Hör meinetwegen mit dem Vince-Dingen auf und gut. War maximaler Stimmungskiller, ne? Ansonsten war das Video stabil. 2, 3 Sachen, die ich schon wieder vergessen habe. Ansonsten war das gut. Ich habe am Anfang gedacht vom Video, der redet nur darüber und wir sehen keine Sequenzen. Aber das war ja nicht so. Immer so ein bisschen den nötigen Input noch mitgeliefert. Also ich sag mal, bis Minute 22:20 war das Video echt top.